Curtis Brown. Today I will be talking about video game use and lack of sleep. So, the pros of video game use, as of course everyone knows, they like to play video games. I for one, am an avid gamer. There are a lot of pros when it comes to video game use. And the first one is it improves brain function. So, video games help with the brain because it helps stimulate the growth of new neurons and it helps us process information at a quicker rate. It also helps us react quicker to quick time events. So, if you're playing a video game, you have to react quickly to certain events and how you can react to those events as well. It also teaches life lessons as well. So, when it comes to video games, especially playing multiplayer online video games, you are paired with other people in order to work together and formulate a plan in order to be successful. So if you're playing basically a 5 versus 5 match, you're paired with other people and you have to figure out a way to be successful. The only way you're going to be successful if you work together as a team, and you have to work together and cohesively, or else you will not succeed and it will be not a pleasurable experience. Also, another pro of playing video games, it helps relieve with stress and depression. So if someone was dealing with any form of trauma, whether it's stress or dealing with depression when it comes to school or any type of social aspect in their lives, they turn to video games for that sense of relief. Most people use it as an advantage, most people use it as a crutch, and sometimes it is beneficial as well. Okay, when it comes to pros, there's also cons. There's also negatives to this. So, for the first option is people who play video games, mostly violent video games. They're prone to being more violent. So, video games that exhibit excessive violence, such as mostly first or third person shooters, such as Call of Duty is an example, and also Grand Theft Auto is an example. Those teenagers or kids, or maybe adults, most likely are exhibiting aggressive behavior. They're being more aggressive towards others, and it shows in their behavior. Second, it can lead to an addiction. As we all know, video game addiction is a real thing. You can get addicted to video games. It has been listed as a form of a gaming disorder as well as a disease by the World Health Organization. As playing video games, it releases dopamine in our system, wanting us to do things repeatedly. So we can slowly become addicted to video games. Also, another con is it can be a form of social replacement. So if someone who doesn't have a lot of friends, or they have friends but they just don't like hanging out with them, they can replace those video games as a form of replacement. So if you're having issues with your friends, you can just replace them by playing video games, which isn't a good thing at all. So these two games are games that I play consistently and currently. Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare is a game that I play consistently online. When it comes to multiplayer, I currently own an Xbox One, so I play this game constantly. I don't play it every day, but I play it mostly 4 days out of a week. Another game on the side you see is FIFA 20, which is a soccer game created by EA Sports. That's a game that I also play. I usually play the career mode, in which I'm a manager of a Premier League team and I'm guiding my team to either the best record in the Premier League, or I'm trying to guide them to Champions League glory, playing in either the Champions League or the Europa League, which are two major soccer events that happen in Europe. So during during this section, I'm going to talk about how much time I've spent playing video games. So for Modern Warfare, I spend almost an hour and 50 minutes playing it on a weekday. So towards the end of the day, if I have enough time, I will go online and play Call of Duty with people I know, just multiplayer, or sometimes playing the other game modes that it has to offer. And I play that for about an hour and 50 minutes. On Fridays or Saturday nights, the hours increase. I usually play for about 2 hours. The reason why I play for 2 hours, I don't have anything planned for the rest of the night, so I just go ahead and I just play as long as I have to. Of course, When it comes to FIFA, it's a different story. I play for about 40 minutes at least. It's mostly because just to alleviate some boredom or just to play some quick matches online as well, or just play against the computer as well. Another game I've included is Grand Theft Auto 5, which a lot of people have still played to this day. I played not as much as I do with the other games. I usually play online for a couple minutes, which is 25 minutes on weekdays, 15 minutes weekends. So that time has been cut in half. Other games I did not include on this list is Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which is a game that I play for about maybe 30 minutes or an hour, depending on how immersed I am in the experience. So, the topic I want to discuss is sleep in video games. Why is this important? Well, playing video games before going to bed has been linked to sleep being effective. So, what have I learned is that your REM sleep has been affected the most when it comes to getting the right amount of sleep. So, if someone plays a video game for how long? For about 3 hours, maybe four, their sleep is affected dramatically by this. And why I say it's dramatically affected? Simple, they have a hard time getting a rhythm going, basically trying to get comfortable, and it's really an issue that's affected a lot of people. A survey was done recently for gamers who are over the age of 13. They lost a decent amount of sleep because they've played video games a lot. So these are young teenagers, almost adults, who are not getting enough sleep because they're playing video games. And out of those 9 to 10 gamers, they do not sleep as much as recommended, which is a big red flag because these teens and these young kids are playing games much more often than they are when it comes to getting sleep. So they are prioritizing getting playing video games rather than sleeping, which isn't a good thing to do. So there's also a lot of risks when it comes to video games. Gamers who choose not to get the right amount of sleep, they face a lot of health risks when it comes to sleep deprivation, which is a big issue. It's the lack of sleep, obesity, because when you're sitting around playing a video game, you're not losing any weight. You're going to gain weight just by sitting in one spot at the same time looking at a television screen. And teenagers, mostly young kids, and young adults as well are more likely to suffer from this. Trust me, video game addiction is not something you should take lightly. It is a real thing. So these are the hours that I have listed when I don't game before I go to bed. So during the weekdays, if I don't game before I go to bed, I'm averaging about 6 hours and 30 minutes during the weekday. So it's Monday through Friday. I'm usually going to bed around 11:50 or 11:45, which isn't a bad time. I'm waking up either around 6:30 or 7:40, depending on the day. When it comes to weekends, it's 7 hours and 15 minutes. So I'm usually going to bed around 12:30 at night, and I'm waking up around 8:30 in the morning, which isn't a bad thing. I'm getting enough sleep that's required if I'm sleeping during those hours. So, hours, if I choose to game, as you can see, the hours have changed dramatically. Of course, I do get my 6 hours on weekdays, but for the weekends, it's just 6 hours, which is a drop off by an hour, which is affected. And it's not really a good thing that I'm getting 6 hours of sleep on the weekends. It's just if I don't have anything planned during Saturday or Sunday, I just stay up and I game. I don't have a personal experience when it comes to this, but I do know someone who personally suffered from this. He attended the same college that I do, and of course, there's a lot of battle royale games such as Modern Warfare and their Warzone game mode and Fortnite, and he got addicted to Fortnite. This was 2 years ago. He was playing Fortnite consistently. He spent over 4 hours playing Fortnite. Late at night, he would not go to sleep until about 4:30 or 5 in the morning, which isn't a good thing, especially if you're a college student, because your academics will suffer. His academics took a hit. He would sometimes sleep in until about 10:30 or 12:30 During the day, he would miss class. He would not turn in his assignments. He would turn them in late. He would often miss class repeatedly, and his grades suffers from it. So I tell you this because prioritizing video games over getting sleep is something you shouldn't do. This isn't the right way to go. It really isn't. You can be affected by it, and this can be the consequences, especially if you're a college student dealing with this. So, I've created a way for people to understand the dangers of playing video games and not prioritizing sleep. So, the solution I created was developing a questionnaire asking specific questions when it came to video game use and sleep. So, I focused primarily on how much does one person get enough sleep, basically. How much sleep does the person get, and how often do they play their video game during a work week? So, if that person owns a game console, I would ask them how much time do they spend on their video game after they get off of work, or days that they don't have to work, how many hours they spend gaming. Another focus is prioritizing why certain gamers focus on getting farther in a video game than getting sleep. I want to focus on that because some gamers do not sleep at all. I know gamers who have gone on and pull all-nighters just playing a video game, not getting sleep, just gaming for hours and hours and hours until the early morning, which isn't a good thing to do. A proposed solution is for gamers who struggle with this is creating a schedule that ensures that they get enough sleep. So if you're going to bed around 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. at night, I propose a solution that would make you get off the game around 10:30 and go to bed around 11. Or, for example, if you're playing at 9:30 for the young kids, 9:30 is a cutoff date, and make sure they're in bed by 10 o'clock to make sure that they're getting enough sleep and they are going to bed at a decent hour. And developing a plan that primarily focuses on how much time you should spend playing your video games at night. So if you're playing for more than 2 hours, that's the cutoff limit. You should spend over 2 hours playing your video games. Also, making a schedule that basically revolves around not using technology as much. So here is a link that I will put in the description below. I interviewed a professor currently at my school who video games as well, and I will include that video in the description if you guys want to listen to it. Or suggestions: take a break if you feel that you've been playing your game for more than 1 or 2 hours. If you're started playing your game at 10 o'clock and you realize that it's 2 a.m., you should get off the game immediately, just to go to sleep or just either focus on something else. It's not a good idea to be gaming for that long period of time. It's not a good thing at all. Discipline yourself to try to not finish a game in a certain amount of time. So if you're playing a story or action game that has a story mode into it, don't try to finish it immediately. Take a break from it. It won't hurt you to just take a break from it and continue to play it the following day. Create a schedule that is centered around being active. So that's going outside, taking a walk, not using any technology, because if you use technology, you'll be tempted to game, which isn't a good thing at all. But trust me, if you use this, it will help. It will help you in the long run, and trust me, I'm a gamer. I have been limiting how much time I've been on my Xbox, and I hope you will do the same, whether it is any system that you have now. You all were well informed about my video. I was talking about video game use and lack of sleep. I hope everyone has a good day, and thank you for